To the develop of this video, it will be demonstrating how DC Comics and Marvel Productions make their superheroes movies, in which we can see proposals similar in many aspects, but we can see that those institutions have a different way of represented. Like for example, the develop of the fight scenes, the way that those heroes are represented, the main topic of those movies represented by the author, and the story that each hero have to pass during the past. Also, we can make an observational analysis in the fight scenes that Marvel and DC Comics propose, because we can infer and analyze that the Marvel scenes are more interesting and better planned than DC Comics scenes. We can see that DC Comics scenes and morality are based in a one-dimensional proposal in which the winner of the fight is directed in only one path, which the violence and the most powerful hero in the fight predominate and wins it. While we can see that Marvel's idea is different in the way that the main problem could be solved in different ways, not only with the one-dimensional thinking of DC Comics, whoever punched hardest. Those movies, like Doctor Strange, doesn't have an end like the common ones seen in the other movies. So in the case of Doctor Strange, we can see a neurosurgeon that suffered an accident that impeded that Stephen Strange return to his work. So he goes to Himalaya to help him, in which he discovers his supernatural abilities. The intention of this is that we can evidence that the conflict is solved by the decision of the villain Dormammu, who noticed that the intelligence of Doctor Strange is very big because Dormammu converts in a prisoner of him because the Doctor controlled the time and made loops with it, something that means that he was invincible. So he wins the battle without using the force and the violence. He destroyed his enemy by the intelligence because he gave up at the mental capacities of that hero.
A world beyond time. What have you done?
I made a bargain.
What is this?
The warnings come after the spells.
We did it.
Some worlds man believed to be home to their gods. Others they knew to fear. From a realm of cold and darkness came the frost giants. Threatening to plunge the mortal world into a new ice age. But humanity would not face this threat alone. drove the frost giants back into the heart of their own world. The cost was great. In the end, their king fell. And the source of their power was taken from them. With the last great war ended, we withdrew from the other worlds and returned home to the realm eternal, Asgard.
We can make a comparison between Superman and Thor movies, which were superheroes immortal, which have human conditions, but both have a mutant condition, so they have many abilities and fictional superpowers. We can compare that both the stories have a particular content. So, Thor life in the past, he was located in his world called Asgard, in which he was exiled because his action and he come to the earth. So the problematic was based in that he can't allow that his devil adopted brother take the authority and the power in Asgard. In the other place, we can compare the histories of superheroes between Marvel and DC Comics, because a similar story passes with Superman, because he was an individual with exclusive and fictional superpowers that came from another fictional and imaginary world created by the author called Krypton. So both superheroes are icons of make justice in the world in the way that the villains can take the power of the world.
Beat him hand to hand.
Analyze his fight pattern.
Scanning. Countermeasures ready.
Let's kick his ass.
He's my friend.
So was I. Stay down. Final warning. I could do this all day.
We can evidence that the thematic proposed by the movies Civil War, Marvel, and Batman vs Superman are similar because we found an ideological confrontation by two teams of superheroes, which wanted to demonstrate that their thinkings, ideas, and their power was better, among others. But the difference was that the problem in Civil War was a confrontation of ideas to assume a situation, a misunderstanding between both teams, while we can see Batman vs Superman that Batman's preoccupation was the magnitude of power of Superman and he wanted to stop it. And Superman doesn't like the way that Batman do justice. So we can see a conflict based in the authority and power of those heroes. So we can even evidence that there exists a confrontation of ideas proposed by the two different teams, and identities that want the functionality of the world is based in what they think that that was a reason to understand how there were multiple battles. Those confrontations with the past of the time were stupid in the way that in the case of Batman vs Superman, they reconciled to make a unity to combat against the real enemy.
I love you.
No. No, Clark, you can't.
This is my world.
No, Clark, don't.
You are my world.
No. Please. No!
In conclusion, we can evidence that both industries represent a similar genre of fictional action in which the protagonist always is going to be the stereotype of a superhero that always fight against a society in which there are devil multiple situations commanded by a villain. By the other side, the way that the movie be filmed and the production of them is a characteristic that is part of the identity of both companies, because we can see that their intentions to demonstrate and interpret visual elements is those movies are completely different. Also, we can have noticed that the filming strategy of Marvel corresponds to many ways of interpretations in the sense that they are open to solve the conflict of the story by multiple ways, where they can see various elements that can allow the solution of the problem. So DC Comics strategy is one-dimensional because they always propose a monotony feeling that involves the spectator to know that every problem is solved by the hero that punch first and more hardest. So the creativity of Marvel is remarkably better than DC Comics.